Do you guys like to build things? Do you like figuring out how things work? Do you like solving problems? If you want to make the world a better place, perhaps engineering is right for you. If you said yes to any of those questions, you might like to be an engineer. An engineer is somebody who solves problems. They engineer all kinds of things. They engineer bridges in order to help us get over rivers. They engineer buildings in order to help us live and work and shop. They engineer roads. They engineer drugs and medicines in order to keep us healthy. They engineer machines in order to help diagnose us from diseases and different conditions that we might have. Engineers do all kinds of different things. And if you like solving problems, if you like building things, if you like coming up with solutions, you might like being an engineer. We're going to practice being an engineer for the next couple of days. We're going to be looking at what are some problems that we can solve. What are some things that might be cool that we might be able to figure out. So, let's get on with today's challenge. Okay, I thought up a really fun challenge I think you guys can do today. It involves a Tenderheart bear right here. Now, you probably don't have a Tenderheart bear, but that's okay. If you have a little stuffed animal, that would be just fine. If you don't have a stuffed animal, you can use a Barbie. If you don't have a Barbie or stuffed animal and you have a little action figure, you can use a G.I. Joe or a Transformer or any kind of toy that you have can be used in this challenge. So, you're going to start with your toy, something fairly small, but not terribly small. Your goal today is to build a tower so this guy can get as high as possible. We want to build something really big so we can keep this person off the ground. That's the goal. So an engineer, if an engineer is to do this, the first thing they have to do is they have to figure out what is the goal. What is the problem they're trying to solve? They're trying to make it so that this toy can get as high as possible off the ground or off the table, wherever you start building. The next thing an engineer would do is they would talk about what are some things that they can do and what are some things that they can't do. They call these limitations or constraints. These are the things like, what is going to stop them in building something? They can't just go out and build whatever they want. They have certain things that they have to use to build them. Think about this. If you were going to engineer or build a roller coaster for a theme park, let's say you want to do Adventureland or Disney World, that roller coaster probably has to fit in the park. It has to be a certain size to fit in the park. The size of that roller coaster is a constraint or a limitation. Also, Disneyland or whoever you're building it for probably wants the coaster built out of certain things. Do they want it built out of metal? Do they want it built out of wood? What do they want it to be built out of? They have probably some ideas that they want to make as limitations and constraints as well. So what are some limitations that I'm going to put on you for this? What makes the challenge harder? So our problem is going to be we want to lift this this toy up as much as possible. So what are we going to use? I thought it would be really cool if we use something we just got around the house. And I looked around my house and I found junk mail. I get a lot of junk mail. Every day I get new things. This guy wants me to vote early. I get lots of stuff asking me to vote for all kinds of different people. Or maybe there's coupons that I'm never going to use, or they want to buy back my car. I don't know. I got a lot. This is about 2 days worth of junk mail right here. Normally, I would read this mail and then just put it in the recycle bin because I like to recycle. But it's a good idea if we can ever try to reuse some of the things before we throw them away. That way we get another use out of them and they don't just go straight into the recycle bin. So I thought it'd be cool if we tried to help the planet by reusing these before we recycle them. So, what are you going to use to build your tower? You're going to use junk mail. Now, if you don't have any junk mail, that's okay. You can use some regular paper, or you can use some note cards or something like that. But I think junk mail is kind of cool because it's a good idea to reuse this stuff. So, with 3 days worth of junk mail, I've got some tape, just in case I want to tape some things together, and I've got a scissors. Now, you can use scissors if you want. It's actually harder if you don't use scissors and you try to rip it, but that's up to you and your parents. Be sure that your parents are helping you if you're using some scissors. So, I got junk mail, I got some tape, and I want to try to build a tower as high as I can. So those are my constraints. Your parents might also put another constraint on you that's typically there for a lot of engineers, and that's time. Usually we say, we're going to give you about a half hour to do this. So I think we want to put a constraint of a half hour. We don't want to spend 3 days making this because that roller coaster that you were building for Disneyland has to be done on time. Your tower that you're building for your toy needs to be done on time as well. So time is also always a constraint. So we have our problem, we have our constraints. The next thing you do is you try to think of what are some really good ideas. So if I'm looking at this junk mail, what are some things I can do to build a tower? Well, one thing, I could roll this up and make like a column like that. Maybe put a piece of tape here and make a column. That would be a way I could start to get this higher. That's a good idea. Ooh, or this one maybe I could make a column this way and it would actually get even higher, like that. So that's an idea you can do with your junk mail. Another idea might be, oh, we could make a triangle like this, kind of like a house of cards, or even like that. That might actually help. There are lots of things you can do with these cards that you can actually help put them together. I could maybe even, if I take, I don't know, let's say this card here, I'm going to cut it right there like that. What if I make some cuts in this card? I can actually put the cards together so that they stand up like this. That's kind of cool. I got to cut it a little more. So there's lots of different ways that you can put these cards together so that they can actually make a tower. So I want you to think about all the different ways you could do it, that you could make your tower. Then you're going to build your tower so that your stuffed animal or toy or whatever it is gets as high off the ground as possible. Okay? Be sure that once it's up there, you test your tower to see if it works. That's also something engineers do. They build their prototype and then they test it. And if it doesn't work, they look, how can they improve it? How can they make it even better? So today, you are going to make a tower as high as you can using junk mail or paper or note cards to try and get a toy as high as possible. This engineering is really a cool way to learn about science and learn about building things. When you're done, there's a worksheet that goes along with this where you can actually show us a picture of your tower so that we can see what you built as well. So you can send that to your teacher or you can send it to me because I'd love to see how high you can get this animal off the ground. So, junk mail, tape, and an animal or some kind of a toy. Good luck. Have so much fun. I know you're going to love being an engineer.